Being a designer is not about being creative, and being creative is not about being a designer. Here's why. A few weeks ago, we ran a design sprint for a startup. They hired us to solve their onboarding process. They were working on this product for almost 2 years, but their CEO was not happy from the onboarding process they came up with, and he stressed out how important it was for them to be able to differentiate themselves in a very saturated market. He expected us to come with an amazing creative idea that will solve the problem. The first workshop of the design sprint is about defining the challenge. I spoke with the CEO after the day, and he was really excited. It was eye-opening for him as we clearly identify the challenges we are about to solve, halfway for creating a winning concept. Then came the second workshop, where all of the sprint participants create concepts. In this workshop, we work together alone, meaning we work at the same time, but each one of the participants create their own solution concept. After that workshop, I talked with the CEO again, and he was worried. He told me, "I hired you to come up with the concept. I feel like you're holding a great concept behind your back. Your designers probably already have the solution, and design is not my thing, so I have no chance. And I'm just wasting my time." The CEO was under a lot of pressure to perform and come up with a solution. He thought that if he had hired us to just do the UX work, we would just solve it for him. No pressure. After running so many design sprints, I had a simple answer for him. Trust the process. And he did. The next workshop was about curating and selecting a concept. And sure enough, the team selected the CEO's concept. And not because it was the CEO's concept. The process is mostly anonymous, so I'm quite sure the selection was not biased. It was because the concept was really brilliant. We did add a few ideas from other concepts, but the main concept was his, and he was super happy and excited. And so were the users when we showed it to them during the user testing. When we talked again, I explained that there is no chance that we will ever understand his business as well as he and his team does. And it is very natural that the creative ideas come from the people who are really immersed in the market and the users. The thing is that design is the craft of planning and solving problems. It's a skill you learn, practice, and acquire through ongoing field experience. You can't just become a designer with 5 easy steps. It's a craft you need to earn through hard work. Talent is a starting point, a good one, but only a starting point. Creativity, on the other hand, is when somebody somehow creates something that is somehow new. We see this in kids, in all kids. It is not an acquired craft, but rather something that happens to us. We can learn how to facilitate and encourage creativity, nurture it, but you can't do something creative with a push of a button. We do identify people as being creative because we saw them deliver creative outcomes consistently. But usually it's because they are trained to activate creative processes when they want to or required to do so. Design work has creative aspects in it, as solving problems sometimes require out-of-the-box approach. But not all design work is creative. If an architect plans your house, you certainly don't want her to be creative all of the time. She better use best practices, things that were tested and validated. She does not need to invent the concept of what a house is all over again. What we do need are systems that enable creativity when it's needed. And not only for the so-called creative people, but for every person in the organization. Here are a few tips that helps. Start with questions. An environment where questions can be freely asked, even the most stupid ones, create a great basis for creative processes. Crafting good questions is not easy, but if you want a good model, go and talk to a 3-year-old toddler. They will ask why about almost anything. Another good model comes from Procter & Gamble, who invented the how might we questions. This open format makes us look at challenges and open our minds to unlimited possibilities. For example, how might we be more creative? Constraints. Creativity is best practiced when there are constraints. A blank page is always a difficult place to start from. If we define in a clear way what are the business and technological constraints and when our solution must be delivered, it will help us think about the problem in a more creative way. For example, one of the first exercises given in film school is to create a one-shot movie, a movie without any cuts. This constraint sent the students to creatively think about what can be done best with just one shot. What kind of a story is best told without editing? Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Rope, is built from just one shot. Structured processes. Contrary to popular belief, creativity does not equal chaos. Actually, if you structure a good problem-solving process, then creativity comes as a bonus when it's actually needed. The design sprint is a good example for that. It's very structured, therefore predicted in its outcomes. Yet, in every step, there is room for creativity to pop up if needed. It's not that there is a place where you say, now be creative. It's just the time constraint and the clear tasks that makes participant creative. Alteration. Another misconception around creativity is that it requires inspiration, some divine spark waiting to be ignited or land on us. The fact is that creativity and innovation are the result of iterations, trying, analyzing, and changing, failing, learning, and trying again. It's not the apple that fell on Newton that made him understand gravity. That's a nice myth. It's the endless experimenting and deep thought that got him to that clarity. Edison could not have invented the light bulb without breaking hundreds of bulbs in the process. Together alone. Teamwork in many cases is a good idea. Alan Cooper, the famous designer, talks about the pair design concept. The fact that you need more than one designer to balance and resonate the design process. I believe that most innovations are the results of collaborative work. If we build the right team and the right dynamics, we have a better chance succeeding. Diversity is a key factor when you build a team. Different points of view facilitated in an appropriate manner will yield much more interesting ideas. However, group dynamics are often counterproductive. We know from research that brainstorming is not really effective. It creates group thinking and often shadows the ideas of less dominant people in the group. What I've found to work best is the idea of together alone. We give a clear task, write down our ideas, each group member on her own, and then we show it, vote on it, and finally, a single person, the decider, decide on how to move forward. This way, everyone gets heard, but we don't spend endless time discussing and arguing. That's about it for today. I would love to hear about the way you encourage creativity wherever you are. If you liked this video, you may want to subscribe to our channel and get more updates about innovation, creativity, product design, and more. See you next time.